I am fortunate enough to be joined by Peter Naylor, who's
Hi,
the
Ashley.
Executive Vice President of Digital Ad Sales at NBC Universal. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, congratulations. Upfronts are wrapped up, I hear.
That's what I read.
That's what you read.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned that a buddy of mine who works at another network on the sales side was saying to me that he felt like this was the year of favors. Like everybody was coming at him from the buy side saying, you know what, I can do that for a little bit less, but I need a favor and I need a solid. Like there was this constancy of the buy side having to prove its value to marketers and to brands. Like what was your experience this year?
I think that's consistent throughout many upfronts. I mean, you know, that's why TV's so special, because it is a relationship business, and people know when accounts are lost or won, you know, their promises made, and yeah, you know, you try and help people realize their goals, and in the same breath, you know, I'll help you here, but you need to help me there. So with a portfolio like NBC, you know, we've got opportunities in one part of the portfolio where we need help, and if a customer needs a favor, then you work out a deal. I mean, that's why it's a negotiation.
But is digital, you know, I laid that foundation to beg the question of, is digital usually that currency? You know, is it, because if we go back sort of the genesis of digital, it was about value add.
No, it's not about digital in a silo. And in fact, if anything, I think our radar is really up in that we're pretty sure that the whole world's going to be served through an IP address sooner rather than later. And so everything we're doing today is a precedent for the future. So if we do any favors in digital, we're thinking, okay, what is this going to mean to us in 10 years? So very, very careful not to make digital the favor or the throw-in. In fact, just the opposite. We're being very, very cautious, knowing that we're going to live with a lot of terms and conditions for a long, long time.
So I think that, I mean, from my perspective, that's probably a even greater sense of awareness that we had last year, right? Mm-hmm. And with OCR becoming more widely adopted, and you know, sort of standards around likening television to digital video, what was different this year in the upfronts?
It was just more of a much more consistent ask for those demo guarantees.
Does that make your life easier or harder?
More difficult because of the things we talked about earlier. The request for real precision is combated with the ability to deliver that precision without delivering a lot of waste as on behalf of the publisher. So when they want to buy 25 to 54s, I got to serve people 2+ to arrive at the 25 54s. Yep. And until we get a little bit more superior targeting from the ad server, I'm still going to burn through a lot of impressions to meet the demo guarantee.
Where does that net out from a programming perspective, and how does that sort of affect your Greenlight process, right? Because as you're moving more, I'm not going to say inventory, I'm just going to say more of your top line dollars are going to be moving through IP channels. There are going to be more and more mechanics that afford those guys that are buying those ad units to target and want to talk directly to.
I mean, I don't think the demo the demo is not lost on any program or any creative, but they're really trying to gather big audiences. And so while they know they're trying to reach a younger demo, they're still gonna try and create programming that people want to watch.
But I guess what I was getting at is that for digital, does the portfolio, I mean, NBC Universal is you have an incredibly robust portfolio of content, right? So does the portfolio play resonate greater in digital than it does necessarily in TV? Like, I mean, how is that packaging different from a sales perspective in order to be able to deliver the ask of those guys that are buying in a pure digital sense now?
Well, we have a big portfolio, so we'll transact and we'll include sports, entertainment, and news in the same conversation. But we have to segment the inventory. So, for example, most of the upfront conversations really occurred around the full episode player and the full episode inventory. You know, short form, we didn't move a lot of short form in the upfront because I don't think there's a perceived perception of scarcity. I mean, the upfront is about scarcity, and if you make your bet now, you'll get a favorable position and you secure your parking spaces. And long form video still has a scarcity that short form doesn't have. So again, we have the luxury of a portfolio, but when it came to the upfront for digital video, we concentrated really on moving just the long form.
So, I mean, if just sort of an objective, would you say that, is there really a difference is there a substantial notable difference in the quality of storytelling from long versus short form in your portfolio? Or is it just the format and the media and the primary delivery media?
It's the format and the delivery, and I think it's a comfort zone. You talked earlier with some of the other panelists about trust and familiarity and comfort, and when you're talking about shifting TV dollars to the web, it's like, oh yeah, long form. It's like TV on the web. I get it, check. And it's not a hard conversation with your client, and it's a easy first step. When it comes to trying to value and put demo guarantees on short form, the question becomes, you start asking those questions about quality, distribution, the shelf life of content. Is it perishable? News, sports. You start talking about live programming and streaming. There's so many flavors of video, and that long form just resembles so much of what they've done and is in their muscle memory that it's a really easy first step.
If you sort of had to, what's keeping you up at night right now?
Well, I think the things that we really focus on are how does a company like NBC with a really robust legacy business continue to make the shift. And for a digital platform, that means how do we make sure our content is expressed not only at our place but in other platforms, whether it's a Twitter, a Facebook, a Tumblr, a Pinterest, even Instagram, and how do we go ahead and let that content go where people want to discover it, and how do we monetize it? And a good example is Flipboard. NBC News slowly over the course of time became a top 5 publisher in terms of inventory on Flipboard. We kind of were made aware of that, and then we packaged it up and sold it off to General Electric for a pretty interesting program. So it's kind of uncovering and being comfortable with pushing the content where people want to discover it, and being next to the upstarts who want to eat our lunch, and making sure that the peacock and our content is wherever all this other stuff lives.
So last question is sort of, what is the most important business lever in regards to you retaining and moving the needle on the value of the inventory, the digital inventory? The video that you're producing strictly for digital distribution. Is that business lever, is the Comcast sort of being closer to an MSO? Is that a business lever that's meaningful? Is it the ability to bundle that inventory with television inventory? Is it measurement that puts it at parity, like OCR?
I like all 3 of those answers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the relationship with Comcast is very helpful because, again, if you believe that everything will be served through an IP address, then all TV can start to get targeted in the same way we've been comfortable targeting display and video online. So having the country's largest MSO is going to be pretty helpful in that regard. And being partnered, with other global content providers and infrastructure, that I think gives us a competitive advantage to think, we're playing chess, not checkers. So we're trying to always figure out where we're going to end up in a handful of cycles, not just next cycle.